This is my last Sunday at Our Lady of Lourdes and my last 10 a.m. Mass, but I still remember my first one. When 3 years ago I walked here with Father Sean, I almost cried. And I don't cry, so you have to really do something great to move me to tears. And 3 years ago when I walked here with Father Sean, I was surprised that people actually were singing and they were praying. You would be surprised how it's so not popular at other Catholic parishes. So I was moved by your faith, by the faith in Jesus. And that's this Sunday theme, the faith. Faith really moves the mountains. And we see this in today's gospel when these two characters, this woman and then Jairus, came to Jesus with faith, asking for help, and they were helped. Today, of course, I'm not going to cry since I'm Polish and we don't really cry. But I'm still moved by your faith. So just believe me, yes, but I won't cry. That's not going to happen. God really loves when people have humility and come to Him with faith. So for the last 3 years, I've been watching all of you, how you come here every Sunday with faith to Jesus, to touch Him, to ask for help. Because now, after 3 years, I know a lot of you, and I know really what you hide in your hearts. That's one of the privileges of being a priest. I know your hearts. I know what you struggle with. Well, you might be smiling right now and saying, Father, how are you? I'm fine, and you are not. My dad, when I talked to him, when I became a priest 5 years ago, he was always asking me about this, like, hey, Witold, like in the United States, how do people greet each other? I'm like, it's always, hi, how are you? And you have to say, I'm fine. Like, that's what people expect you to say. But we in Poland, we never say, I'm fine. It's never fine. There's always something, right? Don't even ask a Polish person, how are you? Now, if you ask me, I will tell you I'm fine because I know how it works here. But in Poland, if you ask me, how are you? I'm like, my job sucks, or, I'm struggling with this sickness or whatever. There's always something. And my dad was always amazed that, you always respond with, I'm fine, when you are not. And I can say that because, again, I've been hearing so many confessions, right? Just talking even outside of the church, visiting so many of you at your houses for dinners. When I came here 3 years ago, that was my message. I'm hungry, you have to feed me, and I want to get to know you better. Guess what? It's still valid. This message is still valid. So even if I'm gone at St. Thomas More, you can still invite me for dinners, okay? I'm always hungry, which is actually in the gospel as well. Jesus tells people, give her something to eat. Yes, give Father Witold something to eat. It's always valid. But yes, after 3 years of being here and seeing your faith, with more than 1,400 masses, what I said here, 20 funerals, 40 baptisms, 5,000 confessions, which equals 400 hours. More than almost close to 400 anointings of the sick and accompanying people who were dying 400 times. Witnessing kids being confirmed and adults during Easter Vigil. everything goes back to faith. And I have been the tool of Jesus, right? But you could have touched him, and you did so many times through different sacraments. But the first reading tells us that yes, God did not make death. God did not make death. The question that I got from you so many times, when you finally tell me you are not fine, when you ask the priest, Father, why? Why am I suffering from this sickness? Why did my husband pass away? Why this happened in my life? You know what I always say? I don't know. I truly don't know. And of course, it's easier said than done, even to you. But when your loved one is facing this question, then it becomes really difficult. 2 years ago, my mom called me with the bad news. But she was diagnosed with the breast cancer. Let me tell you, for the very first time in my life, I know what it means now, when your world collapsed. You cannot believe the words. What did you just say? Yeah, I have been diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm like, oh, right. So what are we doing now? She's like, no, it's a small tumor. The doctors will remove it. It should be fine. 2 years later, yes, she's fine. Everything looks good. But she asked me that very question. Witold, why did this happen to me? And I told my mom what I've been telling you for the last 3 years. I don't know. Sickness, death, it's not God. God doesn't want that to happen to you. God permits this to happen to you. But he, like the book of wisdom says, God did not make death or sickness. He did not. He is with you in that very process. And we see this beautifully in today's gospel when Jesus finally is approached by two people asking for healing. The first one is, of course, Jairus, the synagogue official. Keep in mind, he is the synagogue official, which means in that very village, everyone knows him. Everyone comes to him for help. Everyone is asking him, what do you think about this? He's kind of like a Catholic priest in a small village. Everyone comes to you for advice. So you are expected to know everything. You cannot say, I don't know. You have to tell them something. But when you face death or sickness, like he was facing the immediate death of his daughter, he knows I am not in charge. I can do nothing about this. The doctors cannot do anything. So the last thing is to do for him was to ask Jesus, right? Hey, can you come and help? Can you come and save my daughter? So keep in mind, there is a huge crowd around him. He's always the one in charge and giving advices, but at this point, he is asking for help. That's a huge humility right there. He's so humbled by it. So Jesus, of course, wants to help because he sees faith in this man. Faith. And this is interesting. While walking to Jairus' house, he is stopped by this woman. In our lives, we feel terrible when someone stops us and we are already late for something, for a meeting, for, I don't know, any kind of appointment. If you are late, you want to get there ASAP. But when someone stops you, you don't like this person. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. But we get the backstory about this woman. Afflicted with hemorrhages for 12 years, she had suffered greatly at the hands of many doctors and had spent all that she had. Wow. 12 years of suffering. Doctors didn't help her. And she right now doesn't have any money. Jesus is the last resort. Jesus is finally the last one that can help her. And so you have to keep in mind that being unclean because she's losing blood, we don't know exactly what disease it was, but losing blood in Jewish religion and culture meant that you were unclean. You cannot touch anyone or anything because you will make that thing unclean. You're not supposed to do it. For women, it was even more terrible because most likely she was divorced. Kids left because you cannot touch them. If you are a man and your wife is suffering from disease like this, yes, you are divorcing her because you don't want to live with this woman. There is no compassion. Diseases in Jesus' culture were regarded as kind of punishment from God. If you are suffering greatly, it means God is punishing you for your sins from the past. Guess what? No one wants to be around you, which means you are a sinner. She's not supposed to touch anyone. And yet she's pushing through this crowd. Just imagine, through the crowd, touching everyone, breaking all the rules. It would be like going back to 2020 when COVID happened. And now there is one person in the congregation just coughing all the time. Like, oh yeah, that's a COVID person, leave her alone. Everyone would freak out and leave this church immediately. And she still pushes through the crowd just to touch Jesus. Because she says, if I but touch his clothes, I shall be cured. It's always good to look at this person because she doesn't have name. And many, the authors of the gospel, so Mark does it too, if you don't have the name of the character, it means it's you. You are suffering right now from something. Spiritually, physically, you feel like an outcast. Maybe no one wants to talk to you because of the past. Maybe you don't have any friends. Family left you. Or yes, maybe physical suffering. Struggling, to make ends meet. No more money for additional meds. Insurance doesn't pay anymore. The doctors don't know what I'm suffering from. So you feel there is no hope. And I've been talking to many people even who don't believe in God. They have this tendency to do it with him. Like, hey God, if you exist, do this. I don't recommend doing that. He doesn't like it. It's just a test. No one likes to be tested. If you do it with him, God, if you exist, help me with this. Usually you don't get it. Don't say, if you exist. This woman and Jairus, they know God exists. They know, they come to him. They don't say, hey, Jesus, if you are truly the Messiah, come and heal my daughter. No. All of them say, we know you can heal me. I know you can heal my daughter. That's how we should always pray. Not if you exist, because that's not going to work. This woman takes her risk She does it. Yes, she touches Jesus. And Jesus, of course, feels this immediately because the power came out of him. And like he says to her at the end, daughter, see, there is no name. Your faith has saved you. Your faith. You believed I can do it. You didn't test me. You just said, if I just touch his clothes. But here is the catch. Because of her interruption, I would say, she stopped Jesus while he was on the way to save this girl. And now, of course, the people from the official's house arrived and they said, hey, your daughter has died. It's over. I don't know if you've been through this, but losing a child is a terrible experience. It is. You as a parent feel hopeless, of course, helpless. You can do nothing. You would do whatever it takes to save your child, and you just can't. So just imagine how Jairus felt at this very moment. But Jesus keeps walking. He was supposed to heal this girl, and now we'll see. So I love when he gets to the house, and he says, do not be afraid, just have faith. Faith. He did not allow anyone to accompany him inside except Peter, James, and John. Do you remember when it happened too with these three guys? Transfiguration on the Mount Tabor. He's going to show his power, to show them what he's got. He doesn't need people just to, take pictures. Of course, they couldn't, but, just to witness it. He takes Peter, James, John, and of course the parents. And when he sees all these people weeping and wailing loudly, he says, why this commotion and weeping? The child is not dead but asleep. They ridiculed him. Of course they did. You have to remember in Jewish culture, and in this case, since he was pretty well known, when someone died, you had immediately professional mourners coming to cry for that person, sometimes for money. That's a good job. If you are good at crying, you should do this. You just come and cry for, 30 minutes, and then you go home. That's good money. So they are here not because of this girl. Probably they knew her, but it's about money. So when Jesus asked this question, why this commotion, they ridicule him. So I love what he did. He put them all out. Yeah, there is no business for you anymore. I don't want you to cry here. Just go. So of course he took along the child's father and mother, as we know, and then finally he entered the room where the child was and said, little girl, I say to you, arise. And of course the girl, the child of 12, the woman has been suffering for how many years? 12. The girl was 12. Disease is gone after 12 years because it died with this girl. And now Jesus comes to raise this girl up. 12. Plus, in Jewish culture, when you were a girl, age of 12, it's time to get married and have kids. People lived up to 40, so you have to speed up the whole process, right? You are 12, get married, and have kids. That's why Mark told us she was the child of 12, which meant that she was supposed to be a mother soon, and a wife. Her whole life in front of her. And death just came and destroyed everything. So then God comes and brings everything back. She arose immediately and walked around. Now, Just imagine this scene for the parents, for Peter, James, and John, just seeing, the dead girl, walking around. So of course, like Mark tells us, they were utterly astounded. Of course they were, I bet. When you see stuff like this. But I love what Jesus says. He gave strict orders that no one should know this. Really? Raising a girl from the dead. These people who were crying for money in a few minutes, they will tell everyone. They just lost their income. Oh yeah, they didn't care about this girl. It's about money. If this man just walks everywhere and raises people from the dead, we'll lose our job. And he said that she should be given something to eat. Yes, food, nourishment. Give her something to eat. You see, many saints take this passage and say that yes, you could be one of these, or both. You can be like the woman suffering, again, from whatever it is, spiritually, physically, and you have tried everything, just come to God and have faith and ask for healing. Or sometimes you can be spiritually dead. You don't even want to come to God. Or maybe you, since you are here, that's not you, but you know someone in your life who is dead, spiritually dead. Someone who doesn't want to even come to the church on Sunday. Someone who doesn't even pray. They feel like outcasts. Maybe there is a psychological suffering too. They don't feel worthy of God. So they need you to pray for them, to bring them to God, so Jesus can walk to their lives and heal them. I've seen God doing his job like this, through all the sacraments, through masses, anointing of the sick. Yeah, I didn't raise anyone from the dead yet. Hopefully it's going to happen soon. I heard, 5,000 confessions, ranging, from someone who has been to confession yesterday to someone who has been to confession 60 years ago. People when come to us, priests, because we are in persona Christi, so we are supposed to be God, Jesus, right, when we do sacraments, but then for you, once I went to my chapel and I told Jesus, hey, I don't know how you do all of that when people pray to you like 24/7 all over the world, how you can hear everyone and heal and help. Because sometimes after two hours of confession, like I'm done. Because people come to us and tell us everything. So I don't know how you can do this. You have to be God really to do that, all of that, right? So that's why he's God. But the main point is, yes, God did not make death and sickness. It's life. It happens. But we have God who comes and heals. You have to come to him or pray for someone who are not able so Jesus can come and help them. It truly happens. Sometimes, here at Lourdes or St. Louis, when right after Mass we walk to the back of the church, some people, some of you do it too, while I pass by, you kind of like bow to me. Which I know it's not for me, it's for God. Because I'm in persona Christi. Kids want to, do high five, so I'm sorry kiddos, but I won't do this, and I want, because, I have to look like this, so doing high fives doesn't work with me. But kids want to touch the priest even when he walks by. So it's been wonderful to work here for the last 3 years and accompany all of you on your faith journey. And you know where I'm going, St. Thomas More. it's not far, so you can still visit me if you want. But if you don't, then I hope to see you in heaven. See you in heaven, because that's where we are going. And if you struggle with anything right now in this life, just remember there is God who is with you. Don't be ashamed to come to him, ask for help, because if you ask, he will help, and he will always have time for you. Just please do it. Come to God. Go to confession. Call the priest if someone is dying from your family. If you struggle with something, call our office and just meet with one of us. Because we are supposed to be here in this huge, large crowd when everyone is pressing upon us. We are here for you, like God. Because if you need any help, reach out. God is with us. God is with us.